Good evening to everyone. I'd like to officially call the meeting to order for October 19th, 2020. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you have all had a wonderful day. There's much to discuss this evening, and so we're going to jump right in. With that being said, Ms. Anderson, would you officially conduct roll call?
Mr. Pittman. Ms. Fowler. Mr. Williams.
Present.
Mr. Thompson Leader.
Present.
Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
I'm here.
Ms. Buckwalk.
Present.
Ms. Carreras.
Present.
Mr. Carter. Dr. Samuels.
Present.
Mr. Selmer.
Present.
Ms. Anderson, present.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for conducting that, and I'd like to approve the agenda for this evening, October 19th, 2020. I'd also like to approve the minutes for the meeting that took place on September 21st, 2020. And now I'd like to go back and just ask that we all put ourselves on mute and move away from the screen as we prepare for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Anderson, are there any public comments this evening?
We have no public comments for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Selmer, I'd like to officially turn the meeting over to you as we prepare for presentations and then walk through the actual recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Samuels, board members, members of the public. Tonight we have a presentation from Dr. Latrice Mumine. This will be an update and some background information on the Office of Accountability, which was a new office that was part of the organizational structure that we enacted back last summer with our arrival here in the Harrisburg School District. So I'd like to turn time over to Dr. Mumine.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Samuels and Mr. Selmer, for the opportunity to share a presentation about the Office of Accountability with the Harrisburg community. And thank you, Mr. Nornhold, for managing the presentation slides for me today. Next slide. The Office of Accountability was established in September of 2019. This presentation will provide you with information about who we are, what we do, and who to contact in our office if you have questions and/or are working with our team. Next slide. Who we are. Next slide. Thank you. About our team. I currently serve as the Director of the Office of Accountability. A brief bio is shared in this slide for your review when you have an opportunity. I will share a few of the highlights. I joined the MCIU team in September of 2019 to establish the Office of Accountability for the Harrisburg School District. I have served as a teacher, principal, central office administrator, and an adjunct faculty member. This includes working with traditional public schools, charter schools, non-public schools, private schools nationally. Next slide. Mr. Lukowski has served as PIMS administrator for the Harrisburg School District since 2005 and leads our child accounting department. He is experienced in higher education, accounting, data compliance, and reporting. Next slide, please. Ms. Awatri has served the Harrisburg School District for the past 5 years. She is a former family engagement specialist and is our data compliance specialist in the department. Ms. Awatri is a Harrisburg High School alumni and recent Leadership Harrisburg Area Vera Cornish Memorial Scholarship Awardee, Class of 2020, Central Penn Business Journal 40 under 40. Next slide, please. What we do. And now, Mr. Norhold, if you will share, thank you. So the Office of Accountability, District Support at a Glance. This is a slide to help you with understanding more about what we do in our office. The Office of Accountability works in collaboration with district departments to support student learning, and this includes 9 core areas. The Pennsylvania Information Management System, which is also known as PIMS, federal programs, school improvement, pre-K counts, Head Start, charter school oversight and compliance, non-public school oversight and compliance, child accounting, and parent, family, and community engagement. And if we can move to the next slide, our vision statement. Thank you, Mr. Norhold. The vision and mission of the Office of Accountability best describes what this district support means. So our vision statement: to promote sustainable collaborative practices that increase the ability of the district and school leaders to improve the quality of educational program offerings for students served through the Harrisburg School District. And that leads us to our mission statement. Thank you. Our mission in the Office of Accountability, so our mission statement: the Office of Accountability exists to support the school district on meeting its responsibilities in accordance with the Pennsylvania Department of Education and to support continuous improvement in schools. This includes evaluating state and federal grant awards, monitoring the external evaluations of district programs, compiling data, supporting the district's capacity to meet student-level data reporting, collecting district attendance, maintaining charter school oversight and compliance. Next slide. Thank you. Providing ongoing technical assistance to schools as well as central office staff, supporting the development of school and district level comprehensive planning, serving as an LEA representative for CSI, ATSI, and TSI schools by monitoring progress and collaborating with district and school leaders, as well as external partners on parent, family, and community engagement. Thank you. Who to contact in our department if you have questions. For federal programs, pre-K counts, and non-public schools, please email federal programs at hbgsd.us. For school improvement and Head Start, please email me directly at lmumin@hbgsd.us. For parent, family, and community engagement, please contact Ms. Awatri at mawatri@hbgsd.us. For child accounting and charter schools, please email our childaccounting@hbgsd.us email. And finally, for PIMS, the Pennsylvania Information Management System, student data, please email Mr. Richard Lukowski at rlukowski@hbgsd.us. And that is the conclusion to a brief presentation about who we are, what we do, who to contact. At this time, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share information about the Office of Accountability. It is our honor to serve the parents, families, and community of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Mumeen. And hopefully this is another opportunity for families and members of the community to take advantage of the services that are provided through the Office of Accountability, even parent support, various questions that they may have in terms of ways that the district and the various offices and schools can support and work with every single family and student in the district. Thank you. And hopefully this is another opportunity to talk about things like the parent compacts that all parents should have received, parent information regarding the right to know, and other services that come right out of your office. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr. Summers, we continue. I know each and every day you're deeply steeped in things related to COVID and just the overall operation of the district. So if you could begin by providing us with an update, that would be terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. Thank you, Dr. Mumeen, for that presentation and for the work the Office of Accountability is doing. It really serves a dual purpose of internal compliance, but external outreach to the constituents, students and families in the Harrisburg School District. So thank you and your team for your work thus far in Harrisburg. As far as COVID-19, obviously, it continues to really consume the work we're doing, the future of what our educational delivery will look like, and we're continuing just to monitor on day to day what the trending is happening with COVID. So unfortunately, back about a month ago, we were trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, tonight, I have to report that we're trending in the wrong direction as far as our numbers. And about a month ago, when we made the decision to resume our fall athletics and voluntary workouts, our positivity rate in Dauphin County actually dipped below 3%. It was 2.8%. Our incident rate per 100,000 dipped into the 30s, and we were at a pretty good spot given what has happened with the virus. Today, fast forward, those numbers look much different. Currently, as of Friday, the positivity rate for Dauphin County is now over 5% again, 5.7%. Our incident rate per 100,000 is at 81.9 as of last week, and climbing. So what does that mean for us as a school district? One of our goals, and we said this from the onset, is that we were going to continue to monitor the situation on a week-by-week basis. And that's what we have done through all our decision-making up to this point. The administration has been working on plans to potentially bring a cohort of students back in the middle of November. That's when the data was looking more stable and more favorable, much different than it looks this evening. So over the next couple of weeks, we need to continue to monitor the data. PDE has a chart that they have issued to all school districts, and this is out on their website, giving criteria based on community transmission, incident rate per 100,000, the learning model that you would be engaged in as a school district. When I say learning models, I'm talking about a full in-person, I'll call pre-COVID model, a blended model, which could be what you'll hear a lot of as a hybrid model, and then a full remote learning model, which is what we're currently operating under here in the Harrisburg School District. If the data reaches a substantial transmission level within a county, the full remote learning model is what is recommended. So what criteria would mean we're insubstantial again? So if we had positivity rate over 10% or an incident rate per 100,000 of over 100, either one would put us in a substantial category, which the recommendation would be full remote, which is what we're in now. Basically, as a school district, and most school districts, they've been living in the moderate category, which is a blended learning model or full remote learning model. And again, we've been under full remote learning. So if that 81.9 gets to over 100, essentially that will make the decision that we would absolutely have to stay in our full remote learning model. So over the next 2 weeks, we will continue to monitor. We will push out information as we continue to make decisions moving forward. But given the numbers and given the trends and given what we're seeing not only within the state of Pennsylvania, but nationally, certainly there's a level of concern about where this is all heading as we also head into the midst of a normal flu season on top of it. So again, we will keep the community and our families posted, but currently for the foreseeable future, over the next month or so, we will stay in a full remote learning environment. We are currently working through our HVLA program. As you know, that was our 100% asynchronous offering that we made to start the school year. Our enrollment is right around 300 students for our HVLA program. We are starting to add new layers to the program, which we're excited about. We'll be approving virtual learning coaches tonight and through the next couple of weeks. Those learning coaches will be Harrisburg teachers that will be supporting HVLA students online. And when I mean support, it's going to be guiding them, seeing where there's struggles they're having, and trying to help them navigate through those struggles and supports that they may need, working with their remote teacher, which again is not a Harrisburg School District teacher at this point. As we've said, and as is outlined in the MOU that we approved with our Teachers Association, the intent from the beginning was to transition the program over this year. So by next school year, we would be running the program within Harrisburg School District, just as we do with our Cougar learning program. So again, we're excited that we'll be able to offer these additional first layers of support for our student learners in our HVLA program. Athletics, just to give a quick update, we are currently participating in athletics. What does this new data mean for athletics? Well, if you recall, we had a criteria established that we needed to see 3 weeks of declining numbers, both in positivity rate and incident rate per 100,000 before we made the decision to resume fall athletics. Conversely, we're going to be looking at that now to see what the numbers do over the next 3 weeks, which takes us to the end of October, and or if we have any challenges with COVID that impacts any of our athletes or coaches. So we will continue to monitor that situation. As I've said to our athletic director, and as he is, and I've said to a few of the students that I've talked to, the data again and the numbers will really drive the decision making. But I must say publicly, I am very proud of our student athletes, and I'm very proud of our coaches. I have stopped into multiple practices unannounced just to see what was going on and support and check in. And our student athletes are doing almost anything they can within their power to stay active and stay on the field and not let COVID impact their season. So again, I just want to thank them. We have some phenomenal student athletic leaders on all our teams that are really, leading the charge, so to speak, from within. So again, I just want to publicly thank them. And we have some phenomenal students here in the Harrisburg School District, and I'm really proud of what they've done so far as we've resumed the athletics. The other question that comes up that I'll just address right now is winter. I've had some inquiries about what's going to happen with our wrestling and our basketball, both boys and girls, and indoor track. And right now it's too early to say, but certainly when you think about a sport like wrestling, that immediately raises significant concerns on how do you keep your athletes safe given these increased numbers with COVID-19. I would say that if we do engage even in basketball, it most likely, if these numbers continue, it would be with no fans. We would stream those events just to do everything we can to ensure our students would get opportunities to participate, because really that's what this is about. This is about giving our students opportunities to participate, opportunities to do something that they enjoy. given this very difficult time where I think many of us, including our students, are in the midst of kind of the COVID fatigue, so to speak. But this is the time where we just have to be more vigilant than ever with these numbers increasing as far as social distancing, masks, etc. Over the last 7 to 10 days, we've been working through some situations within our organization regarding COVID-19 that will continue to work with our staff as things arise. So again, the numbers are jumping. There are cause for concern. We need to be wearing masks. We need to be socially distanced, and we need to do everything we can to keep each other safe day in and day out within the Harrisburg School District. The other announcement I'd like to just make, this was approved last month, but I want to make note of it, is that Mr. Eugene Spells, who's our principal at Scott Elementary, is also serving as interim principal for Roland Academy. That will be at least through December or until a replacement is named for that position. So I just want to make sure the public's aware of that. Mr. Spells is well known in the Harrisburg community, and he's working with Miss Estrike, who's our new assistant principal, who came from Camp Curtin's, been with the Harrisburg School District a number of years. So both are doing a very nice job working with our teacher team and our staff at Roland. But again, we'll keep the community updated as we move through that process. My last quick update, or two quick updates. One is as far as some community support. We will be announcing probably within the next week in November, we'll be partnering with a community organization for flu shots that could be taken advantage of at a couple of our actual locations within the school district outside, of course. So we'll be announcing that. And then on October 31st, we're really excited to partner with the Latino Hispanic Community Center for their 10th annual Fall Festival. They're going to be doing a drive-through event, very similar to what we did for graduation and other senior events, our prom, etc. They'll be using the John Harris campus from 10 to 2 for that event. So I encourage our community to come out. There'll be great information. They'll have, I think 30 or 40 vendors already signed up. They'll be able to drop items in your trunk, in your car, very similar to what we do with our food distributions throughout the week here in the Harrisburg School District. So we're very excited about that partnership with the Latino Hispanic Community Center. The last comment I want to make before we move on is an item on the HR agenda tonight, which has to do with our athletic coaches. And you're going to see, which my understanding is not the normal cycle that would happen in years prior with our athletic coaches and their payment, but we are paying them a partial payment tonight for services essentially from the middle of September through last Friday. And then depending on how long the season goes, there'll be another payment made in November. We had to do it that way, and we came up with a prorated daily rate because we didn't start the season on time. And we had to try and figure out a way to compensate them, but do it with a formulaic approach that certainly has backup and justification. So that is on the agenda tonight. It is noted that the payments through the 16th of October, but I just want to make sure I pointed it out. Ms. Willis certainly will cover that in her agenda tonight. So Dr. Samuels, I believe that concludes my updates for this evening, unless there's anything else you'd like me to cover.
Great. No, thank you. That was a very comprehensive update. So the recommendations would be great now. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Samuels, I have one recommendation for you this evening, which is a landmark realty agreement for William Penn. And I'm asking that you authorize the superintendent to approve a 1-year extension to the October 2019 agreement. There's no change in terms, conditions with the agreement. It's just a 1-year extension option that's embedded in the current agreement.
Great. Thank you. The landmark realty agreement for the William Penn property is approved for a 1-year extension that originally commenced on October 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. That concludes the Office of Superintendent. I'd like to move to Office of Human Resources. Ms. Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Silmer. Hello, everyone. Under A, for the approve of the following job descriptions, we have 4 supplemental position descriptions listed there for Dr. Samuel's approval.
The recommendation for the approval of the 4 job descriptions that include a yearbook advisor, as well as assistant, as well as class advisor, as well as the assistant. The 4 job descriptions are approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Under B, retirement, we have 1 retirement listed for effective January 4th, 2021, and that is Angel Doyle, the assistant principal at Ben Franklin.
And you can read both together, and Mr. Summer.
Okay,
Thank you.
we only have 1 retirement this evening.
Okay.
And we have some resignations, 9 resignations end of service listed for this evening as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Samuels, if I could just make a comment on item B,
Yes.
Ms. Doyle. Just want to, again, publicly thank Ms. Doyle for her service to the Harrisburg School District. Ms. Doyle has actually been involved with Harrisburg School District since 1991. She was a coach and obviously a teacher and then an administrator. And, you know, she's just been a phenomenal mentor for many of our other principals, students, and, you know, student athletes, etc. And she certainly will be missed. And I'm just very excited for her. And you know, on a personal note, I got to know Miss Doyle's son, Andre, because he was our football coach when I was at Reading School District. And you know, when you meet Andre and you talk with Miss Doyle, just, you know, what a job she did both as an administrator and as a parent, because he's a fine young man as well and is doing great things to help students in that district. So again, we'll really miss Miss Doyle, and we told her we won't let her get too far away in case we need her. But again,
Sounds
wish
great.
her the best. Wish her the best.
Thank you for that, Mr. Sommer. I'd like to join you in saluting, honoring, and thanking Ms. Doyle for her service to the Harrisburg School District. You know, when you think about a real advocate for children, it's Ms. Doyle, you know, one who's compassionate and really cares about children and families, and the type of support that she's rendered over the years to children, to families, and to staff members and fellow administrators. It's really to be applauded. We will certainly miss her, but just as you're saying, Mr. Sommer, we may be reaching back out to her. So forget about the school district. So thank you again. Also, would like to thank the individuals who are reflected under resignations and end of service for serving the Harrisburg School District for the time period in which they did. The 9 recommendations for resignations and or end of service, that is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under item D, new staff, we have 6 new individuals who will be joining us. Actually, 5 new. Number 4 is a family engagement specialist at Ben Franklin, Ms. Thomas, who has rescinded her resignation. So we will be welcoming her back to that position.
It is a pleasure to welcome the new staff members to the district, and we look forward to embracing and supporting them. And we are delighted that Ms. Thomas will remain at Ben Franklin. Thank you. That is approved.
Thank you. Under item E, we have 10 change of status items listed there. One I'd like to point out, number 2, Andrew Clark. Mr. Clark has been a paraprofessional at John Harris for a number of years while going to school to get his special education instructional certification. He did not have enough seniority when we were placing paraprofessionals at the beginning of this school year. So he was my first call to offer him a vacant custodial position. He immediately said yes, and he's actually been working as a custodian in the Lincoln Building for 2 months until he finally received his certification. So we are happy that he's now transitioning yet again into a learning support teacher at Marshall Academy. So I wanted to point that out. That's a pretty cool story.
Very nice. So thank you for sharing that. The recommendations for the 10 individuals for a change in status is approved. And just as Mrs. Illes has articulated, we also applaud Mr. Andrew Clark. Thank you.
Under item F, column changes due to credits earned. We have 8 teachers achieving that level of column change.
Great. The recommendation for the 8 individuals for their change due to the credits that they have earned is approved.
Under item G, our supplemental items, we have quite a few listed there. You'll see a majority of them are appointments to HVLA monitor positions, which are supplementals after the school day has ended for these teachers. And I believe there are 46 listed there, moving them for approval.
The recommendation for supplemental payment and or stipends for the 46 individuals reflected is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As Mr. Selmer alluded to earlier, our October 2020 athletic stipends, payments for services through 10/16/20 listed under item H, and there are 19 coaches listed there.
Okay. The recommendation for the stipends as of October 2020 for the 19 coaches reflected is approved.
Thank you. We have 2 items listed under item G, general HR items. A one-time allowance for the Act 93 group for carryover vacation and a settlement agreement under number 2.
The 2 recommendations under general human resources items related to COVID and Act 93, in addition to the agreement, are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As is typical, our listing of our requested family medical leave absences listed, there are 9 there, and under K, our COVID-19 leave of absence, we have 4 individuals requesting and have been approved in that category as well.
Thank you. We know that our family medical leave of absence is for informational purposes only. So that is reflected, and we thank you for sharing that for the 9 employees reflected. In addition, the COVID-19 family leave for the 4 individuals reflected is approved, consistent with the dates that are reflected. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes the human resources section of this evening's agenda.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lillis.
Thank you, Ms. Lillis. We'll move to Office of Business Services. Mr. Longridge.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Dr. Samuels, this evening I have several items on the agenda. We have no grant awards for your review and approval this evening, but we do have the Treasurer's Report, and it's dated as of September 30th in the amount of $53,064,611.02. We're requesting your approval for this evening.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Longridge. The recommendation for the approval of the Treasurer's Report ending during the period that includes September 30th, 2020 in the amount that you stated is approved.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. We have no budget transfers for this month. We do have several accounts payable check runs, and you'll see we have 2 check runs in each of the weeks, October 2nd, October 8th, October 16th, and then we have an additional check run on October 7th. You'll note that we have 2 different fiscal years for each of those dates, and we're requesting your approval for those check runs in the amounts indicated on the agenda this evening.
Great. Thank you. The recommendation for the ratification of the accounts payable checks for the dates that include October 2nd, 2020. And as you mentioned, there is also one that reflects the dates of school year 2019-2020. There are two for October 8th, 2020, again, also reflecting the 2019-20 school year. There are two for October 16th, 2020, once again, also for the 2019-2020 school year. And finally, for October 7th, 2020. Those seven recommendations for ratification of the check registers for the seven are approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you.
We have two payroll processing requests, ratification for these two pay runs on October 2nd and October 16th. And the amounts indicated, we're requesting your approval for those this
Great.
evening.
Thank you. The ratification for the two payroll processing recommendations as reflected for October 2nd, 2020, in addition to October 16th, 2020, in the amounts reflected, they are approved.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels.
Thank
The
you.
last item I have this evening is a request for you to approve the administration's request to move ahead and work with Municipid. This is an online auction company. We would like to move ahead in working with this organization so we can dispose of surplus assets and unneeded materials. It's an organization that is approved by PASBO, which is the statewide business manager and business official organization. So it has that seal of approval, and we feel very confident moving ahead that as we dispose of these unwanted and unneeded assets, it would be a benefit to the taxpayers and to the school district as a whole. So we're requesting your approval tonight to move ahead with this partnership, and we feel that it would be a very useful partnership moving ahead.
Great, thank you. The recommendation for the approval with Municipid, which is a free online auction platform, is approved. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Longridge.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Longridge. We'll move to Office of Academics. Dr. Schneeth.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Samuels, I am recommending or requesting the approval of the following special education services. The first two are partnerships with the Capital Area Intermediate Unit to provide 2 classrooms at Foose Elementary School for early intervention classes that are run by the IU. And the second one is a request to run 2 multi-disabilities programs, to use 2 of our classrooms to run these IU programs at Melrose Elementary School. Additionally, I am asking approval of a contract with Salient Services to contract with a speech and language therapist at the rate of $67 an hour for the 2021 school year. And lastly, I'm asking for the approval of a special education services contract for compensatory education in the amount of $19,398. This would be funded through the general fund.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sneeth. The 2 recommendations that you shared for the Harrisburg School District to partner with the Capital Area Intermediate Unit to provide 2 classes for early intervention, in addition to the multiple disabilities program for the 2020 school year are approved. In addition, the recommendation to contract with Salient Services for speech and language therapist is approved. In addition to the recommendation for services for special education to support the compensatory education assistance that we are in need of in the amount of $19,398. Thank you.
Thank you. Under new learning resources, we had quite a bit last month, but I'm requesting the renewal of our contract with Swiss Cisco. It's an annual license, and we use it across the district to track discipline referrals and interventions at the cost of $5,060, and we fund this through Title I.
Great. The recommendation for the renewal of the annual license with Swift Cisco is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, I have some partnership and affiliation agreements. The first one is an affiliation agreement between Capella University and our school district to place practicum and internship students in our classrooms. Of course, they are doing this on a virtual basis at this point, starting from today through October 18th of 2021. I'm also recommending approval for payment of a partnership with the Partnership for Career Development program in Harrisburg School District for the 2019-2020 school year at the rate of $3,850. And I'm recommending the approval of the same agreement for the 2021 school year in the amount of $3,850. And lastly, recommend approval for the United Way Ready for School, Ready to Succeed program to support Harrisburg preschoolers for the 2021 school year. And this is at no cost to the district.
Great, thank you. The recommendation for the affiliation agreement with Capella University for the time period that includes October 19th through 2020 through October 18th, 2021 is approved. In addition, you mentioned two, but for two different school years, the Partnership for Career Development in Harrisburg School District for the 2019-20 school year. We know that we're catching up with that contract. In addition to the 2020-21 school year, both in the amount of $3,850. And finally, also approved is the recommendation for our partnership with United Way for the Ready for School, Ready to Succeed program for the 2021 school year. And we know, as you articulated, that's at no cost to the school district. Each of those recommendations for partnerships and affiliation agreements, they are approved.
Thank you so much. That's all I have for tonight.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sneath, don't mute quite yet. I just want to review two quick items because I want to make sure the community is aware of two items that are on the academic part of our agenda, which would be the learning expectations documents that have been posted, as well as the district comprehensive plan. So could you just give a very brief overview so families know where those items are and a little bit of the background, please?
Sure. I'll start with the district comprehensive plan. The district comprehensive plan has been worked on for probably the last 8 months within the school district, and the draft of the plan can be found on the front page of the Harrisburg School District website. You can see here there is a bright blue button that says District Comprehensive Plan, and it's the draft. And what we're looking for is for people to go ahead and read it and look at the goals. And if you have feedback for us, because this is a draft, we would like you to get in touch with us. We are actually going to tomorrow add a button right there with the link to a form that families can write. You know, anybody who's looking at the plan can write feedback about the plan. This will stay up until October 30th, and then it will be submitted for in its final form for the school district. It's a 3-year-long comprehensive plan. Secondly, when you go on the front of the website, there's a new resource for our families In this remote setting, we just want to be very clear and try to provide as many resources as possible for our families, because we know that our families are taking a much larger part in their children's education when we are educating children remotely. So our team created what we call like the learning outcomes, what students in kindergarten should know and be able to do by the end of kindergarten in all of the different subject areas. What you'll see on the website is that we've created one of these documents for every grade level, kindergarten through 8th grade. And we also have buttons that take these documents and translate them into Spanish for our Spanish-speaking families. The idea behind this is so that families know, they can better understand what our teachers are working toward, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis as they are working with your children. They are working towards these outcomes at the end of each of these school years. What we thought too was not only are we going to make these resources available to our families, but we also want to provide opportunities. I'm not sure what they'll be, but parent meetings, open hours, office hours with the Office of Academics for families to contact us if they have questions about what their child should be doing or how they're doing it, or if they were unaware of any of these particular outcomes and where they come from, things like that, so that those questions can be answered for our families. Since we know that we are partnering with parents, they are their child's first teacher, and we want to make sure that they have all the information they need to support their children's learning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sneath, and thank you to you for your leadership and your team in putting these documents together, and also the extensive work that's gone into the comprehensive plan. That's a process that started pre-COVID. I believe we had a community meeting with maybe 50 to 60 individuals, and it was a couple weeks before COVID hit. So that input was valuable and is integrated into the plan, as you will see if you have a chance to review it. So again, thank you to Dr. Sneath and team for that great work.
Thank you.
Great. I too would like to applaud you, Dr. Sneath, and say thank you to you and the team, and look forward to parents, really taking advantage of the opportunity and the information, and knowing that, the goal is to do whatever possible to support children and families. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. We're going to move to the Office of Operations, which will be Mr. Nornhold this evening with one item.
Good evening, Dr. Samuels. We have one item this evening, and that is the approval of an agreement with Vertiv Corporation for UPS Service Center support to the district's data center for the period November 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2021. Funding source is general fund in the amount of $9,069.
Thank you, Mr. Nornhold. The recommendation for the approval of the agreement with Vertiv Corporation for UPS services for the time period that includes November 1st, 2020 through October 31st in the amount of $9,069 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nornhold. Office of Accountability, Dr. Mumin.
Thank you, Mr. Selmer. I recommend approval of the agreement for Title I non-public services between the Capital Area Intermediate Unit, CAIU, and Harrisburg School District for the 2020-2021 school year. Funding source Title I funds at a cost of up to $267,986. The scope of work details non-public Title I reading and or math services, outlines responsibilities of the parties in the agreement, costs, invoicing, and payment, as well as other terms and conditions. Uniform grant guidance has been followed for contracted services.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Mumin. The recommendation for the agreement with the Capital Area Intermediate Unit for Title I non-public services for the 2020-21 school year in an amount not to exceed $267,986 is approved. And we know the funding source is Title I. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you, Dr. Mumine. Policy recommendations. There are no recommendations for your consideration this evening, Dr. Samuels, so I will turn the meeting back over to you. Thank you.
Great.
I believe you're muted, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for the recommendations and for the hard work. Mr. Selmer, any final comments in reference to COVIDs or other pertinent updates for this week?
Not at this point, Doctor. Again, we'll continue to keep the community updated. We've been trying to provide correspondence through the website, through different written letters, et cetera. So we'll continue to do that as the next couple of weeks come. I just think we all need to be on alert and do everything we can as far as social distancing, masks, et cetera. It's going to be very critical. It appears over the next couple of weeks, where given the trend in the data. So,
and the families should continue to pick up lunch and meals.
Absolutely. We're going to continue that process no matter what. We were able to do that in the spring successfully at the height of the pandemic and the numbers. So we absolutely plan on continuing those efforts no matter what happens over the next couple of weeks. So we definitely encourage our families to continue to come in and pick up those meals.
Great. Thank you. And thank you all for sharing. Thank you for your presence. Thank you to board members and thank you to the community and the public. And we look forward to serving students and making a difference, especially during this very unique time period. And on that note, our meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you so very much. Have a good evening to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good evening.